everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be working on a pentaptych, a piece of art that includes 5 canvases. And I have been procrastinating this piece for a while. I was in a art program at school, and my friend had suggested that I should try and do a piece with multiple canvases. And I was thinking about doing it before, but I didn't quite have the confidence in my abilities. So today we're going to try that and at least get the base laid down, and then I will start adding color. So I've been painting for roughly, I would say maybe 5-6 years here and there, and I've always loved to do nature scenes. And in the program I was in, I had started to learn how to do waterfalls and stuff, so I kind of wanted to incorporate that. I've also been trying to work on a lot of three-dimensional stuff, so later on in this video I will try and incorporate that into this piece. And so how I'm painting is I just have some cheap paint, acrylic paint, and I watered it down, and you'll see me go over it a couple times just to get different shades and stuff. This is my base layer that I'm using, one, to help me get a feel for where I want everything to be, and 2, just to use the lights and the darks, just to kind of incorporate that to make the piece overall better. So what I'm working on now is, you can't tell now, but it's a cliff, or supposed to be a cliff. And what I'm using as a reference is, in my sketchbook, I had been sketching ideas of the different canvases, and so I wanted to try and match that as much as possible, but at the same time I knew that with a paintbrush it's different, especially since I'm using water a lot, so sometimes the paint will bleed, but I'm trying my hardest to get it not to bleed. I think later on in the video I did go and get a rag because it was bleeding too much because I added too much water to the canvas. One thing I did forget while doing this is I am doing this on canvas. I'm not doing it on watercolor paper, so it takes the canvas a little bit more time to 1, dry, and 2, absorb. But now you can see that I'm going in slowly with a second layer to kind of define the mountains a bit more. I would say one of the good things about watering down the paint, especially since it's acrylic, it's a whole lot easier for me to get any mistakes off. Like you just saw a second ago, I had dropped paint where I didn't want it, so I kind of just took some water and just dotted it on there and then wiped it up. And then here you can see me doing it again because I had to think for a second. I want this to be proportional, and seeing that the buildings are far away, they won't be that big, so I just had to think about it. And you can see down below where I put that like horizon line, that it's the paint is starting to bleed, which is one thing that I did not account for trying to get the base done all in one sitting, but I think closer to the end I did kind of get a hang of it. At this point, while working on this, I did realize that I probably should have multiple brushes, but I don't think I actually did get another brush. Well, I did get another brush, but I didn't end up using it as much as I thought. So here you can see me getting that brush, and I think these brushes are cool because as you can see, I'm squeezing the actual brush and water's coming out. And I got these brushes from, I believe, Walmart. They are watercolor brushes, so all you have to do is put water in them, and then you can squeeze them, and then you can put as much water into your watercolors as you want. And I tried to use these for this section of the piece because I wanted the water to be lighter, but because I didn't let the buildings dry enough, you can see that it's starting to bleed, and so I just didn't incorporate, or I didn't think that was going to happen originally, mainly because I just didn't check. So you can see me moving on to another place that I knew was dry and just adding a bit more details. And in my sketch, I don't know if you can see it in the video clearly, but there was an arrow pointing to the left, just letting me know where my light source is. I think it's really important when you're doing landscapes to always make sure that you know where your light source is coming from, so stuff doesn't look weird. Here you can see me finally going in and starting the waterfall. I waited to do this so long because I was waiting for the areas around it to fully dry, because I wanted this to be as precise as possible. And you can see me going over a few times. Here I was trying to get like the foam kind of look, and I think I'm gonna add that in later. I do intend this to be multiple parts, but for now I'm just getting all the base layers in. You can see me dotting at it, trying to get all the excess water up so that I can get it as light as possible. Because it's water, I want to make sure that I had the difference between the water and the land, and made sure that was clear. Because like I said, I plan on making this 3D, and as you'll see in a second, I did end up starting that with putting in some sheetrock to make the cliff and other areas a little bit more texture. Here you can see me smoothing out the watermark, and because I let the water dry, it left a watermark on the bottom. So that's not too much of a big deal for me, because I will be painting over it with color. But there you can see me testing if it's dry. And here I just got some sheetrock. I laid it down on there, and then I went in. I was originally going to do it with the paint or the palette knife, sheetrock knife, whatever it's called, but I decided to use my small paint knife. And this actually did come in handy because I didn't realize that some chunks off the side of the sheetrock actually fell in until I smoothed it down on there, and I ended up using those to my advantage to kind of fill in bigger spaces because they were still sort of wet, so I was able to use those. The one thing I was not trying to do is I was not trying to get it extremely smooth, but I was trying to get at least an even layer or somewhat close to even, because I do have some fake moss that I do intend on using with this project, but I have not decided if I wanted to fully cover it or just add a little here and there and then paint this. So I still want it to look somewhat like rocks. And so the only thing I was really trying to do is, because it is 5 different canvases, I was trying to make sure that it was a seamless transition between the different canvases, but I also was not trying to get them stuck together with sheetrock. I would say the first canvas in this section was the easiest one to use the sheetrock with, because so much of it was covered. I didn't have to worry about making sure to stay in the lines. I could just fill this part in and then smoothly fill the other bigger part in. And then there was the only thing I had to be careful of was the slight corner on this piece, which is still water, which I thought that was cool to kind of incorporate. One thing that I'm noticing that I did not yet put in, and I might put it in between recording videos, is that by the buildings there is supposed to be a fence, and I do plan on making that 3D. My idea was to use chopsticks and either wooden dowels, small popsicle sticks, or something like that, just to give it more dimension. And then here you can see I'm cleaning up the lines, making sure there are no big holes in there, and just making sure that the first coat is nice and smooth. Before I added more water to make it lighter. I added more depth to the waterfall. Just kind of went with the flow of it. And then I just the sky. For the sky, I didn't want to go too dark, so like I said, I watered it down and then I kind of only dipped it 1 or 2 times, maybe 3, and just kind of dragged that along all the canvases so they all had that same light color, but just so that it wasn't white. You can see there I got some water on the canvases, but thankfully this time it was dry, so it didn't make much of a difference because I could just quickly get a towel, get a piece of tissue, and just wipe it up. Here I wanted to try something different. I wanted to make it look more like the water was moving because it's, well, falling down from a waterfall. And so yeah, I was trying to get that done.